Village Administrator for Rothschild, RYAN, VAN, DEWALLE.
Jamie Gabert, Administrator for the Village of Weston. First name Jamie, Jami, last name Gabert, Gebert.
I'm just gonna switch the mic real quick, sorry.
Want me to test it at all, or
Yeah, I can, yeah, that's
Yep.
already better.
it's a better already?
Yep,
Okay,
yeah,
all set to go?
yep.
All right. The Village of Rothschild, Village of Weston, City of Schofield, and Town of Weston are excited to continue with the shared police department discussions, creating the Mountain Bay Metropolitan Police Department. As this proposal will make its way to each of the village boards in the coming weeks, the new police department will not forget their heritage, assuring it continues to offer innovative and service delivered to all members. At this time, both village boards and the leaders have taken a proactive approach in finding an optimistic and positive way to policing both communities that would help to showcase the strong attributes that both entities bring to the table. As noted several weeks prior, both villages continue to share a tremendous amount of optimism and positive attitudes regarding this collaborative approach. The current Everest Metro Police Department and the current Rothschild Police Department have held department meetings with all officers to discuss this new endeavor. The potential new Mountain Bay Metropolitan Police Department will have a 40-plus officer department, allowing for excellent service for all community members. Likewise, this new department will offer the ability for a larger jurisdiction, meaning the DC Everest School District will all be encompassing in one jurisdictional boundary. Furthermore, if approved by the village boards of Weston and Rothschild, this new police department would start to work together in April of 2024. Both villages are excited to work together towards a common goal, and that is to offer service and an excellence for all communities involved. Jamie and I will answer questions for 30 minutes. At the conclusion of the 30 minutes, further communication will be held with both Jamie and I serving as the main point of contact for this topic. Thank you.
So does this mean it's essentially done now? You're just waiting for the approvals?
I think a lot of the developmental items have been created structurally, but yes, it still needs to go in front of both village boards. The Village of Weston will be this coming week and Rothschild will be the following week, and that's where the boards will have the ultimate decision.
Okay, so at those meetings would be the opportunity then for public comment for residents, would that be correct?
Yes, and you know, we've certainly held meetings, you know, to discuss this prior, so you know, we've been talking about this for several months already.
Mm-hmm.
The agreement is in the Village of Weston's board packet, so it is available on the Village of Weston's website for review if people had questions or wanted to review it prior to the meeting.
Okay.
What has it been like? Sometimes in politics or in government, when you have two municipalities that have to work together, oftentimes that creates a lot of friction and delays what you're trying to accomplish. But it seems like this has been pretty fast moving, and you've had a lot of support from Weston and Rothschild.
Yeah, great question. So yes, I would say maybe different from other aspects. I think both communities are very positive about this. Both village boards have been tremendous. They've been asking a ton of questions. I think the structure behind it has been positive. It's an excellent foundation, and really at the end of the day, you're taking two really strong villages in the area and joining them together. So I think from at least Rothschild's standpoint, I think I can speak for the Village of Weston. I think at the end of the day, we're optimistic and we're excited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been a good endeavor for both of us.
When it comes to the current Everest Metro and Rothschild police departments, obviously there's officers, employees with each that have been there for decades, some people. I'm not sure if this is a question for you guys or for them, but what does this mean for kind of the command structure as who would lead the department?
Well, so in terms of a chief?
Yes.
Yeah, so great question. So in April here, providing that the village boards pass this here in the next couple of weeks, so we can continue on. That would establish then from both village boards to create a new police commission for the Mountain Bay Metro Police Department, along with a oversight committee, so that would handle more of the finances. But the police commission would have to establish who that new police chief would be. And then that command staff would kind of be structured based upon how that police chief, him or her, decide to run it.
And the outline of that committee is part of the agreement of both the commission and of the oversight committee.
Okay, and then with, obviously, each department now currently has their own station, would that still be the case? There would be a substation in Weston and then another one in Rothschild, or would it be all under one single station?
Yeah, great question. So it would be all under one. The officers would move over to the Village of Rothschild Police Department, and they would start working out of there, providing again that everything passes here in March. So then they would start working together in April out of the Rothschild Police Department, and then discussions regarding where that police department, how that would look after that would be something that would come in the next several months, once the team is together, so that they can make that decision as a one.
There might be items that are still stored at the public safety building or that we would utilize that public safety building for, but the headquarters would be Rothschild.
Okay,
And would the new name be Mountain Bay? Is that the new name?
Mountain Bay Metro.
How did you guys come up with that?
Yeah, so the officers really had a large say in predicting, or I should say, picking that name. So that was something that the officers, kind of like our Riverside Fire District for the Village of Rothschild, and I believe Safer was similar in that sense, where the individuals that really make up that department, that create their own, because that is essentially their second home away from home. So they had a large say in what that name was, and that's essentially how it came to be. And really the Mountain Bay name, when you Google it, it really comes back to this whole area, the Weston, Schofield, Rothschild, town of Weston area. And really that's the goal of it, is when people Google it, or they gotta have some sort of a connection with it, and we think that was a really positive way to utilize something that's been so heavily positive for the area, being the Mountain Bay Trail.
So, with this new name and police cars, will people also, will it be said that like this is a Rothschild in Weston, or will it just say Mountain Bay? Like how will you differ to what the department is?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, for a short amount of time, and again, approvals have to be had yet, but the idea would be that over probably a two-ish month period, what you would see is all the vehicles would get a new wrapping on it to be one, and it would be a Mountain Bay Metro. So right now, yes, you'd have Rothschild PD squad cars, you'd have Everest Metro PD squad cars, and eventually those would start to look the same.
Okay. So then, what will happen to the old building for DC or Everest Metro?
Again, we'll likely still have to utilize that for some storage and some other items for the time being. And Safer is still in that building, so Safer will still utilize that building.
Will Safer advance the building, or will they expand it?
I think that remains to be seen, but there will still be items, the space there will still be necessary for some time.
so kind of going off her question about the squad cars and everything, does this mean there's gonna be a new department patch on the uniforms as well?
Yes, yep. So a great question. So there has been committees established of the officers that are currently working for both Rothschild and Everest Metro. So those committees are working together from both sides to create those patches, what the squad car graphics would look like, what their uniforms look like. So badges, yes. So it's really a team approach in figuring out a way to, hey, you guys are going to be utilizing this every day. How do you want it to look, and how can we make it feasible?
Have there been any officers who, I guess, are not on board with this and are leaving this station, or is that not happening?
Not that we're aware of at all. I think the strong piece here is that positive teamwork approach, and that's what we're really excited to see. And as we've had meetings with the officers together from both police departments, it's been a lot of laughing, a lot of great teamwork and collaboration already, and I think that's what we're excited to see, is continue to bring that into a larger department for all members, whoever decides to be a part of that in terms of communities, to share in that positive aspect and that teamwork approach.
We just had a meeting yesterday and there was a lot of great questions and great questions about the future of the department and having it be a part of the area.
So then I'm guessing with this, there's probably the potential for services or equipment items that you don't have now that you could maybe be within reach for both departments because you're splitting resources, right?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent topic for sure. What this really does is, and I think that's what's most exciting about the whole topic, and really the optimism that both villages bring is the amount of endless opportunity I think that can be had. So when you get a department of 40 plus officers, that's a sizable department. So yes, I think, you know, Mike, to your question, we're really excited to see what comes from it. I think there's going to be likely some new, maybe some new technology that's brought into it, some new equipment, and really it's for the benefit of the officers in the community.
We heard that from the officers early on too, of it being a larger department would allow for some more specialty training or
Yes.
specialization and opportunity for advancement. That was something that they had identified early on.
With this merger as well, how will this affect employees? Like, will salaries still be the same? Will people still get the same benefits? How is that all kind of gonna work?
Yeah, so yeah, nobody's losing anything in that sense. You know, there's going to be a new police union contract. So essentially, they're trying to merge what that new contract is. It hasn't technically been passed yet, but yes, you know, benefits and those sorts of items. That's all a part of it. And yeah, the goal is that nobody loses anything by any means. We don't want to go backwards. We want to go forward.
And the fiscal agent for the department will move to the village of Rothschild.
And then, I guess I don't know. Does Everest Metro have more benefits than Rothschild, or is everything kind of equal?
Yeah.
What makes
Very
them
similar.
different?
It's very similar. What the difference really comes down to union contracts, and it might be, you know, hey, we offer this benefit here, but maybe not that benefit there. It's kind of a little bit of give and take, really. But at the end of the day, you know, through a union contract, it means that those union members, being the officers, have to agree on one moving forward benefit per se, and that is something that they've been working through already together. So there's not, you know, to kind of answer your question, there's not like people are losing anything substantial or gaining anything substantial. It's more of just hey, we're going to be working together, and this is kind of the new, you know, pick and choose and try to make it the best for everybody.
Combining.
Yeah,
How is this gonna impact hours with police officers?
like for
On overtime and making sure that they.
Yeah, so the overtime aspect, it's an interesting topic. I think the goal with a larger department is to have less overtime and less fatigue. So we're hoping with this transition that it allows the officers that are involved to be able to have more time maybe with family members and not feel as though they have to work so much overtime, because that does happen from time to time, you know, and especially in the policing world and several other industries right now where they're just short-staffed. So that's the goal here, is you don't have that short staffing, but rather a sufficient amount of staff that is able to kind of progress forward together. That'd be the biggest, I think, thing with overtime in terms of scheduling. There's a committee that's been established as of yesterday to work on it, and that's really coming from the current police officers from both sides to figure out what that shift is going to look like.
How soon would you guys be announcing a new police chief? How long is it gonna take to find one, if this gets approved?
I think we would agree probably sometime in April.
Oh, this April?
Yes.
Again, that would be a determination of the commission. The commission would have to still be formed through this
Right.
process, and then that committee would meet and make that determination.
Would there be one chief or would there be two?
One.
There's still only one.
Yep.
Just some clarification, so assuming that everything gets approved by Rothschild and Weston, the new department would be working out of the Rothschild location now.
Mhm.
Is there enough space to have the two departments under one roof over there? Do you think, whether it's office space that needs to be expanded or garage space or a larger parking lot, is that something that could be possible in the future too?
Yeah, I think in the future, what you would see is a larger garage space. In terms of office space, we do have a sufficient amount of office space. And really that comes from, you have officers coming in at different times. So even though it's a 40, say, person department, not all 40 staff members are there at any given time. So office space we're not too concerned about. Parking lot, we have a sufficient parking lot there. The squad cars would be parked around the Village Hall area. And likewise though, yes, with the actual garage space, that is something that we'll continue to discuss further as it progresses.
And with the approval, this has to be approved by Weston and both Rothschild, correct?
Yep.
So when are we looking for that approval? When, the next meeting, or?
It would be on the Village of Weston's agenda on Monday, the 18th at 6 o'clock, and it'll be on the Village of Rothschild's agenda on the 25th.
Yes.
Going along the lines of my last question about expanded garage space and stuff like that, I know Wausau PD is currently looking at adding a fenced-in lot for officer safety. Is that something that Rothschild would consider, especially since it's a new department, to give it a different look and make the officers feel safe when they're at the station?
Yeah, I think the ultimate goal is obviously to make them feel safe as much as we can. With the creation of the department and as it comes together, I think those are items that'll be worked out to see, you know, maybe in 6 months from now as we're working together, maybe one avenue looks better than the other. So, you know, it's kind of up in the air exactly what's going to be happening in that sense. But really, at the end of the day, we're excited to work together and find ways to be impactful for all communities.
And it'd only be 40 officers, correct?
Well, it's going to be right around 40.
And I think some of the piece with that question is, how does this work once we get started, right? The Village of Weston has a unified police department with Everest Metro, that's with 3 municipalities. So how does it work now with adding between the 2 villages? Some of that will just be determination and time of how does it flow once we get going.
Maybe this kind of goes along the same question about who the next chief will be and the command staff, but what about other units of the department, like the detectives and stuff? Would they have to, I guess, reapply or go through another promotion process, or would Rothschild and Everest Metro, would those units merge together and add those numbers together?
They would merge together, yeah. Nobody would be reapplying for their position. What their current position is, they'd be coming into the new department.
So a detective will be a detective, lieutenant, okay.
Yep. Yeah, great question.
With this merger as well, kind of going back to like expanding the Rothschild Police Department, when would you guys want to start construction if the merger gets approved? When would that date kind of be like, all right, let's figure something out? Like, when would that all happen?
I wouldn't say there's a true hard set date of exactly when we would like to start construction or whatever we decide to do. I think the biggest thing is, just like Jamie had said earlier, is working together, seeing what that looks like. You know, this is something new. This is new territory for all community members that are involved. And so I think the optimism really behind it is, hey, let's get working together. Let's see how this starts working, at least from a administration side. And then in terms of build out, that's something maybe it takes, 3, 4, 5, 6 months or more, just to kind of develop and understand, here's kind of the direction we want to go, and who knows what could happen. But that's the exciting part about it, because in 6 months to a year, it could develop into something even greater.
We've seen mergers like this try to form, and sometimes they don't go through. Why is this one so different? What makes this one, I guess, workable? And kind of last time, it was kind of like an optimistic thing, and now it's like more forefront and like a blueprint is set out. So what makes this one kind of, I guess, in terms, it's more likely or is better likely than other mergers that has been tried to be formed? Can you talk about that?
Sure. Yeah, I think right now what you really have is all communities, especially their councils and boards, and the leaders from the communities, they're super impactful, number one. They're progressive in their way of thinking, and really it's that teamwork approach. There's nobody that's saying, I'm from so-and-so community and it's gonna be rigid with this. There is none of that. And so I think that's what you have right now, is you have this this aspect of teamwork and understanding that, hey, if we can combine our resources, we can better serve the residents and the community members in an impactful way. And I think that's what you have right now is a lot of foresight and a lot of futuristic thinking, and sometimes you don't often get that. So that's why I think we're very thankful right now to have that in the communities. And that's, I think, really why it's happening at the optimistic approach that it has been so far, is because of the leaders that are involved.
And we've had mutual aid for a long time.
Right.
We've supported each other's departments, and if the departments needed help, we helped. But I think we also have a really vast understanding that although I'm the administrator from Weston and Ryan's the administrator from Rothschild, when people call for help, they just want help. They want to make sure that it's there. And that's what I think that's been the mindset both from our boards and our committees of, we just want to make sure that we're providing the best possible service. Whatever that means, we will work through it, but best possible service.
What is one of the reasons why it wouldn't go through? That we could maybe see that happen? Or is there not really any?
I think
I think we're just optimistic at this
yeah,
moment.
we're just optimistic, and I think looking at the big picture.
Have there been any concerns from the public that you guys have told them about, or is there a certain group that's being formed, or maybe the police fire commission have concerns as well, or is kind of everybody is really on board with this idea?
I have not been aware of any.
No, I mean, we've certainly had questions, but
Yeah.
as those questions have come up, we've been able to work through, you know, what does that potentially mean for the unification?
And once this does get approved, kind of, I guess in like daily life, like how will I see the merger form? What will it kind of look like as I'm just like driving through Weston or Rothschild or walking to trails? What will it look like? What are we going to expect?
Sure. I think the first thing that you're gonna see is gonna be obviously a new squad car. So that squad car is gonna look a little different. Other than that, what you will receive is a service at or even better than what you're getting currently. And so I think that's really at the end of the day, that's what counts. Just as Jamie had said earlier, you know, we've had mutual aid between the communities, but what this means now is that instead of maybe just having one officer respond, now you may have a few respond immediately because they're all part of one department. So that's really I think the most beneficial piece for any member of these communities is realizing and understanding the impactful approach that this will give to each of the individuals who are needing that service at that time. Because let's face it, when we all need 911, we want those officers there as fast as possible. And so that's why we're reaching out to them, because we need their help. So what you're gonna see in a different way and in a positive way is a faster response. You're gonna see a larger response likely. And so that's what we're optimistic and eager about.
What could we see for recruitment? Do you guys expect more people to want to be police officers and be in law enforcement in some way?
I can speak at least from our side, and Weston's probably similar. With these discussions happening, I do know from recruiting schools, I have received phone calls from schools that have police academies, and they're excited about this. So this is something that they're impactful and wanting to give out to their students because they see the development in the future. And just as Jamie had mentioned earlier, and she hit the nail on the head, was the officers from kind of day one have really grasped and understood the idea and showed the optimism of, hey, if and when this comes together, not only are we gonna have a larger department, but we have the ability to have different divisions. And they can kind of specialize in areas that they want to do in law enforcement. Because there are a lot of different aspects to law enforcement. It's not just traffic. So there's a lot of different scenarios and situations that officers can find themselves in. So from a recruitment standpoint, that I think is the most beneficial part that you get from that topic would be having the ability to kind of specialize and work up the ladder in such a large department.
What would those specializations be? What does Weston and Rothschild want to focus on that they don't already have?
That's something that, again, the officers are gonna be working through in the coming months, providing this all comes together, that they would be working through and figuring out, hey, you know, we have a group of officers that are really they're sound or they're really strong or they have certifications in this topic or this field, hey, maybe we should be looking at that and focusing on that more and so on and so forth. So I think those specializations are gonna kind of develop as time goes on.
And I think that's why we formed the committees out of the department, out of the group of officers, so they can put forth what are the training or tactics that they wanna focus on too.
And the conversations you've had with each village board members, can you explain, it's been positive, nothing, no one is kinda like,
It's been positive.
Yeah, it's been, I think, again, a lot of questions, you know, what does this look like? How does this gonna happen? You know, but it's a lot of, I think optimism in that sense of, you know, how can we make this work? Because, you know, they're realizing that now is probably the time. And just that you had mentioned earlier of, you know, why is it now? And again, I can't say enough about the boards, and really the community members and the officers, you know, realizing, understanding what that futuristic approach would be in a very optimistic way. So I think that's what you have here is a lot of questions, but that's to be expected, and just eagerness to, hey, we want to work together.
are you guys prepared when the public will come in, is it Weston will go first, correct? When Weston will come in and maybe they have questions, multiple questions, are you guys prepared to answer those questions and give like a full response? Or are there gonna be some answers that you're gonna be like, we don't know yet?
I think we are prepared to answer questions. If there's one that we can't answer, just because we haven't gotten to that point yet, or it remains to be seen, I think we both agree, like, we're willing to work through that together. I think that's the most important piece. We are willing to work through it together as communities to put forth the best service.
Will there be any type of, I guess, tax change or monetary change to any of the residents or taxpayers in either community?
The goal would be to, in 2024, to merge our current budgets that we've already passed for both communities, and then try to keep that as little of a growth as possible in an impactful way to reduce the amount of monetary aspect that the individuals paying in would have to be accounted for or accountable for.